So first of all, it's a way also of how you define the word, right? So it's not per se clear what do we mean when we say suffering, what do we mean when we say pain, right? So the way that that little saying goes, pain is inevitable and suffering is optional, the meaning that it has, that is assigned to these two words is, well, you know, life includes things that are challenging, and life includes things that are unpleasant. And life includes things that we have to wrestle with, that we will grieve about, that we'll be angry about. Because those are simply, they are emotions and they're experiences that are just simply part of living a human life. But will those experiences leave not only wounds, because it's normal to have a wound when, you know, you scrape the wall or something hits you, you get a wound, it's normal. But will I have a scar? And how terrible will that scar be? Because if I have a wound from, you know, just living life and scraping along some bark or what have you, and then I ignore that wound, I don't take care of it. And even worse, I put stuff on it that makes it bad. I put hair in it and it grows all muddy and mushy and terrible and thick and dirty and ugly, right? Then I suffer. And then I suffer optionally for a very long time about something that, yes, it was painful, there's no doubt about it, but if I clean it up and I do my self-care and I put the right things in place and I listen to myself, to what I actually need there, then that wound can heal and actually be nearly gone even without any kind of scars. So this is the assigned meaning that we're using it with. And when Therese says, well, you have to suffer, she's speaking about, it's like actually quite a charged word how she describes it. She speaks about you need to make an effort and it will not always be easy. And basically this suffering, or what in the other saying is the pain, right? That pain and suffering is proportional to how much you still have to go through in this life. Like, what's your karma, you know? What stuff do you bring from another life? What kind of beliefs are you like very tightly holding on to? And in accordance with that, you will go through the challenge of cleaning that up. People who don't have much of a karma left in this life, they don't suffer so much. They need to make the right choices and so on. If you look some of these bodhisattvas that came on this planet, like let's say Bhagavan Nityananda. So yeah, sure, you know, did he have difficulties in his life? Yeah, and for sure pain, and for sure hunger, and for sure, you know, not a super smooth sailing all the time, right? Wrestling with a lot of different things. But did he suffer in that? Did he, you know, with his own involvement of personality, of, you know, identification of beliefs, did he prolong that pain? Did he cling to it, hold on to it? No, it was not so needed for him anymore in his life. He had already cleaned up quite nicely in other lives. But as we, you know, most of us still have some baggage and some stuff that we need to clean up, in accordance with what we still have left, yeah, definitely if you want to become a saint, you will still need to go through that. Now, if you call that suffering or pain or whatever, the idea is not, of course, that you are encouraged to hold on to that. The idea is, okay, take it with a straight spine, do what you have to do, take care of yourself in the process, and then you can go through it with the pains and efforts that are needed, but not holding on to unnecessary suffering. So it's a bit of a nuance of words here.
In the Christian tradition, one of the ways to transcend the ego is to stop having aversion to suffering. You stop having aversion to suffering and also to take other people's suffering as Christ. So when you stop having aversion towards suffering, you transcend the ego. And then it's not really your suffering. Sundar Singh says, I was persecuted, I was in jail, and people think after all that you are in paradise. He says, no, during all that I was in paradise. In the suffering, he was hungry, he was poisoned, he was walking, it was like walking alone in the Himalayas and to Tibet, and jail and leeches put on him and all sorts of suffering. persecution, saw his friends die. But he said, I was in paradise all along. But yes, because he didn't have any aversion to the suffering. He was constantly with his Savior. And Paul the same. In the jail and so on. Timothy, can you please bring me my coat? It's cold here. I'm in jail and everybody left me. But Christ is with me and I'm happy. Yeah? So they somehow find a way out of the ego, because the ego is defined by avoiding suffering and searching for pleasure. And they switch that. Yeah? They completely don't search for pleasure and they don't avoid suffering. So they transcend the ego that way. In the Eastern tradition, they go the other way. You transcend the ego and therefore you don't suffer. You understand? So they disidentify. When Nityananda's hand was burning, there's some teenagers, then he stood there and he didn't move. And he said it's not that a siddha doesn't feel the pain, but he detaches. He doesn't feel that it's his body. So the hand is burning and he stands there and the people that burn it just don't understand. This person is not screaming, he's not even moving the hand. Because he can be the body or not the body. And therefore, him as spirit doesn't suffer. So it's two approaches, one from down upwards and the other from up downwards, just to have a synthetic view.
And if you want a non-Christian example, Krishnamurti would say, do you want to know what's my secret? People are like, yes, yes, yes. And he would just say, I simply don't mind what happens. And that's it, you know? So that's just in a nutshell the same. Hey guys, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content on spirituality, Tantra and more.
And if you want to sign up for our online classes or for our retreats, you can see our website on the description below.